Are there any Slovak expressions or sayings that really capture everyday life in Slovakia?
We have one that I would say describes also the mentality of Slovak people, and it's všade dobré, doma najlepšie, and it means actually home sweet home.
Aw.
And I would say like that describes how we think, because like Slovak people really value some stability, staying at home instead of eating out or even going for a coffee. You just invite your friend to your house for a coffee. That's really, really popular actually, and really typical of Slovak people.
Which is interesting because a little bit before the show, you told me something very interesting that I think it's about time that we kind of reveal the twist of because you fell in love with a different culture. Welcome everybody to a new exciting episode of the Connected by Language podcast, your one-stop shop for everything culture, travel, and language related. I'm your host, Michele, and I've been joined by my co-host,
Michelle.
So, for the people that have been joining in for the first time, maybe I think it would be a great time to introduce ourselves and tell a little bit about ourselves.
Absolutely. So I'm Michelle from Germany. I speak German, English, French, and Spanish. And I work as a language education specialist at Tandem.
Ooh, what is that?
So Tandem is a language exchange app where you can meet people from all over the world. You can learn languages with them, either in a chat, one-on-one, in a call, or even in a group or a live audio room. So a group session where you can talk to several people.
Oh, that sounds fantastic. I've been using Tandem myself to brush up on my Japanese very slowly, I have to add. But at the same time, I think this is a great time to introduce also myself. Hi, my name is Michele. I come from Italy. I speak Italian, French, English, and a little bit of Japanese. And I'm some sort of a nut when it comes to learning about different cultures, about different languages, and to understand what makes each country unique in this wonderful world. And I was revisiting some of our old episodes, and I noticed one very interesting factoid when talking about Europe.
Which one is it?
Like, it's insane to think that just by going a little bit over a certain border, an entire culture almost completely changes. And it's always very nice to see how much a country can change by just hopping one over. And I think for today's episode, I found the best example about this very crazy phenomenon. So I decided to go a little bit, away from our Czechia episode and explore the wonderful world of Slovakia.
Nice.
Yes, I've prepared here a bunch of stuff about this very, very unique country, and I hope you have done it as well.
Absolutely.
So let's get into it. Slovakia already comes off with a very, very interesting start because there's a lot of very interesting records that Slovakia as a country has. Specifically, Slovakia has over 7,000 caves.
What?
7,000! And, some of them are extremely known worldwide. For example, the Dobenska ice cave, which is insane to look at, and also the Oktinska agranite cave, which is one of the few ones in the entirety of the world. And visiting it is even crazier because it's almost like looking at the Earth's entire freezer aisle. It's insane. It's so cold, so menacing, and it's a phenomenal look into the crazy nature that the planet has for us.
Wow. Actually, there's one more thing that Slovakia is really known for. It's the number of castles.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So there are over 180 castles and another 425 chateaux.
Oh my God, there's so many.
Yeah, and it has the highest number of castles per capita. So,
oh my God. So we're going from cave to castle, like all the opposite ends.
Absolutely. And talking about opposites, there are two castles I want to name here. The Bojins Castle, that looks a bit like sketched by Disney.
So cute.
Yes, it looks really nice. It has these pastel towers and romantic turrets. But if you want the opposite, there's also the Spiš Castle. which is like very dramatic on a hill, a very huge area, and it's more on the like rustic side.
Oh, so you get plenty of different castles for plenty different around type of people. But if someone wants to visit this wonderful castle, maybe they should learn a little bit of the language to get around these places, often pretty remote. So can you tell us a little bit more about the language?
Absolutely. And this is where the comparison to Czech comes in again, because Slovak is a Slavic language, just like Czech, and it's mutually intelligible with Czech. So
Okay.
that's quite a superpower here, that they
Yeah.
can understand each other. That's really cool. It's quite interesting because Slovaks maintain a strong, distinct identity still. I mean, I won't say it's exactly the same as Czech, but they just understand each other. And Slovak sounds a bit more softer, a bit more melodic, while Czech sounds just a bit sharper and has more nasal tones.
I see.
Yeah. And many Slovaks also feel that Czech sounds a bit colder and more formal.
I see. Okay, I wouldn't go that far, but
Yeah, it must be subjective here too.
of course, everybody has their own tone after all. That's the beauty of
Exactly.
languages.
But the interesting part is that Czechs often see Slovak as more poetic or romantic.
Oh, that's nice.
And it shows because there are Slovak pop songs are like a huge thing on Czech radio.
Oh, wow. I'm gonna kind of like go ahead and kind of maybe do some digging on some Slovak artists because I like learning about music from all around the world. So
Yeah.
I have to admit I haven't really considered the Slovak pop music before, but this is definitely a nice next step.
Yeah. And it's always a good point how to learn languages.
Yes, of course. I mean, it's a fantastic way for repetition. It gets like even you can learn sometimes some alliteration, and so maybe it's not like the very nice beginning because sometimes it can be a little bit too difficult. But
Yeah.
it's definitely a great way to get some confidence in.
And there's one more thing to watch out for. If you, for example, already speak Czech, there are false friends between those languages. Yes.
God.
So I have an example here. Horký, which is bitter in Slovak,
All right.
means hot in Czech.
Oh, that's very different.
Yeah, it's very different, and you gotta be just careful when ordering food because you might get something wildly unexpected if you want something hot and then you get something bitter, or the other way around. So
I hope that they don't have like different, wildly different recipes that are both hot or like sour because it's like. I don't know how many places can have this difference. Like imagine like asking for an alcoholic beverage and it's like, oh, you can either get a bitter or you can get something hot. It's like I don't. They would probably look at you weird, but I guess whenever I'll be in Slovakia, I will be very careful about what I mean.
yes.
But one thing about learning, once you're inside Slovakia and you kind of learn a little bit about its culture, one element that I wanted to kind of tie things together is that unlike other parts of European culture, folk art still matters quite a lot, actually. Like, all the regions are very distinct, but if there's one element that kind of ties it all together, is their dresses, called the kroj. Which like embroidered and they like use wood carving a lot to express all these different designs. And you can definitely see young and old people wearing these dresses during festivals and pop concerts. So it's a very important part of the Slovakia or the Slovaki identity. But of course, like if we're talking about Slovakia, we maybe talk about the star of the show. What's a country without its capital? Wouldn't you say?
Oh, true.
Yes. So maybe we should try people. Here are some of the reasons, or your sign in a way, to kind of visit Bratislava, the capital of Slovakia, because it has some of the most interesting facts that I've seen in a capital. So let's start with one of the basics. Bratislava is one of the smallest capitals in the entirety of Europe. And despite that, it's made of some of the classic elements of European culture. Cobblestone streets, 18th century pastel buildings. And there's also very interesting bronze statues. There's quite a lot of them throughout the city, but the one that is the most known is Shumil the Watcher.
Okay.
Yeah, Shumil the Watcher is a smiling sewer worker just doing its job, and it's poking out of a manhole. How cute. And there is some legend attached to it, is that he can grant wishes,
Oh, nice.
but only on one condition. You have to touch his hat.
Okay.
However, be careful because he's not able to grant those wishes when you're having a hangover. So,
Really?
yeah, I'm not sure why specifically, but it's just a fun, like, urban legend. But hey, be careful because Mr. Shumil doesn't work when you're on a hangover. Please.
So he grants wishes to drunk people, but not to people with a hangover.
Actually, I have no idea if it has for drunk,
Yeah.
for people that are drunk in the moment. I actually have to do research on that. I haven't even considered it. So I thought it was like for like tourists or people that like go to work, but people that are drunk. That's a new one for me. So, so it affects a very interesting dilemma.
Let's find about it afterwards.
Oh yeah, sure.
There's one more really cool thing about Bratislava is that it's like a huge pedestrian zone. So you can go from one end to the other without even seeing or hearing a single car.
Oh wow.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Here in Berlin, I wish that was true here in Berlin
Yeah.
because there's cars everywhere.
Yeah, and noise everywhere.
Cars
So
everywhere. Oh my god.
I guess that would be a really cool experience to walk through a capital.
Yeah, and this capital also has a very interesting quirk about it because if you look at about it geographically, it was one of the few cities or few capitals in the world that has not only one, it's not bordering another country, but it borders 3 countries in total. Like, sorry, it borders 2 countries.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's within 3 countries, of course.
Yeah.
Slovakia because it's inside, but it also shares a border with both Austria and Hungary. And this three-border vibe is seen everywhere because you can see the cultural impact of those 2 places at the same time.
Wow. Don't you think that's a lot of superlatives we have here? So we have it's one of the smallest capitals.
Yeah,
in
one of the
Europe.
smallest, most amount of borders, most
Yes.
amount of caves, most amount of this and that.
Castles, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of most. I guess we
Nice.
could call it the city of superlatives. Yeah. But maybe we should kind of go more surgical in what you can expect by going to Bratislava because despite being a very small city, there's quite a lot to see. And I mean, the main attraction, I would say, is the Bratislava Castle. It is perched above the Danube, which is the river of the city, and it kind of has a very weird shape. It's a very weird shape. It has 4 corners that kind of give it a side, like a very shape that I would kind of describe it as an upside down table. It's very weird to see, but very interesting because it's very unique from a lot of different castles that you can see. And if you're inside, you can see Austria from the castle walls. And if you're particularly lucky and you have some very clear days, you can even see Hungary.
Nice.
Yeah, so it is a great way to see the very nice connection between those 2 countries. But there's a little bit of a sad fun fact about it. Yeah, Bratislava Castle did burn down in 1811. And it was because of some drunken soldiers trying to fry pork in open flames. And if you ever tried to fry pork on open flames, especially with all the grease, it's very difficult and it can have some very disastrous consequences. But, through some sheer dedication, the castle has been restored and is finished constructing in, I think, 1953.
Okay.
So that's been quite a long time,
Yeah.
but eventually it has been restored into its natural shape.
Okay. And there's one more really interesting spot too. So there's a bridge. It's called the Most SNP.
Okay.
And it has a UFO-shaped restaurant.
UFO?
Yes. Sitting above the bridge. So this is actually also why people or locals call it the UFO bridge because
Yeah.
that's probably a bit easier to remember and to describe.
We're taking like a very big change from like old castles and church to like UFOs. And I think we could kind of finish this trifecta by talking about the nature.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's some very interesting regions of nature that Slovakia has. And the main element that you would find in tour guides and like some forums is the high Tatras.
Okay.
The high Tatras are an alpine region. And this alpine region for trekking fans is going to be awesome because it's full for jagged peaks, glacial lakes, and wooden villages all over the place. And it's kind of like jumping inside a fantasy book for the amount of like fantastic imagery that you can get out of it.
Oh, sounds really nice.
Yeah.
For people who want to go there, it's located in northeastern Slovakia. It also reaches a bit into Poland.
Okay.
And it has it ranges part of the Carpathian Mountains too. And it's often called the smallest high mountain range in the world.
One extra ism or superlative, not ism. One extra superlative for the list.
Absolutely, yes. And actually, due to being so compact, it's called like that because it's so compact, but still has these really alpine style peaks there.
Oh wow! And yeah, it's very interesting. And if you explore it, you're gonna see the highest peak of this area in the Gerlachskoski. I probably butchered it. This language, it's a little bit hard for me to pronounce. The Gerlachskoski Steed at around 2,600 meters. And it is the tallest point in Slovakia, don't get me wrong. But it is not the main focus of this region because they actually have some sort of a mascot mountain.
Ooh.
Yeah, if you were to talk about which is the most known one, is the Krivan, which is sharply bent. It is it's very, as you said, jagged. So it's a very unique town. So unique, in fact, that it's kind of become the national symbol of Slovak pride and freedom. And it has been a very important part in the traditional of Slovak because a lot of people do a kind of like a pilgrimage style hike every year to this place. And you can find this peak everywhere. You can find it in the coins. You can find it in the poems. You can find it in songs even. Yeah, and it's actually very important to the history of Slovakia because it was a very important element into the Slovak national uprising of 1944.
Okay.
So there's a lot of history behind it, and you won't miss it. Let me just say that you won't miss it. You will see this mountain everywhere when you're in Slovakia, at least in a lot of different tiny little elements. Speaking about some hidden places and some hidden element about the nature, you can actually find some places that are quite overlooked that have some very unique elements. The main one that I found was Shismani, which is kind of like this painted village. It's kind of okay. It's weird to explain. Let me find a good way to explain it. It's made of this very square wooden houses that are kind of with geometric symbols, and the great way to distinguish them is because they're very dark in color. They use very dark timber, and usually these elements were used to protect from weather and of course evil spirits back in the day. But honestly, to me they kind of just look like Minecraft villages.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now I definitely can picture it.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna be honest. If you go there and you see a picture of it, you can definitely see the Minecraft elements. And if you feel like you've just joined into a blocky world, you're probably in Shismani.
Okay.
I hope that I pronounce it correctly because I'm not 100% sure.
There's another village actually that's quite interesting in Slovakia, which is Vokolimjes. And it's also, again, a UNESCO World Heritage Village.
All right.
It has never been rebuilt or modernized. So it's very preserved wooden village. Yeah, you have wooden huts there, alpine goats, no traffic lights. So very original.
I see. That's pretty nice. And with all of this, now that I think about it, all of this little mountain, maybe a little bit hungry.
Yeah. I can tell you about the national dish.
Okay, well, yeah, let's go.
It's called brinsové haušky.
Okay.
It's Slovakia's national dish. It's potato dumplings
Mm-hmm.
served with brinza, which
What
is
is that?
a fermented sheep cheese.
Oh, I never had it before. And I
Yeah,
have a lot of
neither.
cheeses in my life, so I'll definitely go look into it.
Mikel and the cheese. It's
Yeah, I
a
love
story
it.
of its own.
Yeah, we don't have the time to go through to that side.
Yeah, so it's those potato dumplings with this cheese, and then it's topped with fried bacon.
No, that
Sounds
sounds nice.
quite tasty. It's also called, like, that's more of a fun fact here, but it's also called the Slovak mac and cheese.
Okay, that's definitely not what I've had. My mind wasn't really going for that direction.
Yeah.
I'll take that into consideration.
Yes. And then eating it is also kind of patriotic. There's a whole festival about this dish.
Okay.
Yeah.
And speaking of fermented, there is something that you can also find using this technique. It is the kapushnika, which is a fermented cabbage soup, very simply. And it's usually served with sausages and mushroom. And it's, if I had to say, it would be kind of like more of a Christmas dish.
Oh.
Yeah, so. But in some regions, families hide coins inside in bowls for good luck.
Oh.
So it's a very unique thing. I was reading and it's like, wait, what? That's definitely something that you don't really do in Italy anytime soon. So, but yeah, if you find a coin while eating it, hey, congratulations. You're going to have a lot of good luck.
Nice.
But maybe we should kind of like more go to something a little bit more sweet.
Yes. So we talked about a lot about the hearty dishes here. Let's go with the
I do have one example that I was researching of it. It was the kolashki, I think is how it's pronounced. I'm not sure. I will have to fact check that. They are these sweet buns with, guess what? They're full of poppy seeds and apricot jam. That's the one of the more interesting parts. Or it could be even sweet cheese, like you mentioned. And this one, if you're talking about holidays or specific occasions, those are for the weddings. That's like the wedding thing, or a funeral, or you can just find them on a bus station. Honestly, so. But the sheer amount of these poppy seeds was kind of overwhelming when I saw pictures of it. So if you're going there for the first time and you see so many seeds, like, be careful. It's normal. Don't worry about it. And don't worry. It's normal.
Okay, that's good to know. There's also medovniki, which is honey cakes. You could translate it like that. It's spiced cookies decorated for Christmas or for Easter.
Okay.
And it's similar to gingerbread, just with a local honey floral edge.
Okay. And you mentioned Easter, which is very interesting because the Slovakian Easter is actually very, very unique in the grand scheme of things. The Volška Noc is one of the most vibrant and somewhat controversial tradition in all of Central Europe. It's very unique. I haven't seen a lot of places replicate it. Maybe you can find some other regions. But the way that it works is kind of crazy.
Tell me more about it.
Yeah, because it kind of works like this. So on Easter Monday, the men visit the women, and they kind of playfully mess around with them using a very unique tool. It's this braided willow branches called the korbash, which you think that will be the end of it. You just mess around with them. No, it's not over. This is just the beginning.
Okay.
Because then you splash them with cold water of perfume. And it's pretty intense. It's not like just a little bit of a splash. It can be very, like, entire buckets of cold water. So this kind of has a symbol. And it's technically supposed to symbolize health, beauty, and fertility. And as sort of a rebuttal, women like kind of gift men some decorated eggs. It could be chocolate, or it could be even some shots of vodka or shlivovica, which is kind of like a plum brandy. And I have to admit, now that I read it out loud, there's a reason why it's so controversial.
It sounds very stressful to me, actually.
Yeah, it sounds very stressful, and luckily some places kind of are making a more like stage version of it all, and some places that just straight up ignore it. But it is a very important part of Slovakian culture, whether like whether you like it or not.
I'm quite glad that actually we in Germany we share a different tradition with Slovakia, which is the egg decorating for Easter. So painted eggs with different kind of colors, like with beeswax, onion peels, other batik techniques. And some eggs are even so finely decorated that they end up in the museum.
Oh, wow. I really want to see them because I've heard about decorated eggs, but they're usually like made inside families. They've never been this sort of high level. So honestly, I can't imagine how decorated and the details they are. But, Slovakia has a lot of other traditions that aren't necessarily tied to Easter. There's definitely some other traditions that are sort of adjacent to it. And the first one that comes to mind is the Fasianchi, which is kind of like called the Slovakian Carnival. And, this one is kind of like your carnival. It has some parades, it has pork feasts, it has village dances, and it's kind of like to drive out the winter and welcome the new season of the spring. But, the Lent is a moment of fasting, and sometimes people can interpret it as kind of like a fun ruiner in a way. And yeah, and they have a very interesting way of doing it. They kind of take us they kind of bury the symbol of fun times. Like, can you guess what's the symbol of fun times in your opinion?
Oh, I have no idea. Laughter.
Laughter, like smile. No, it's a physical item.
Okay.
It's a bass. A bass? Yeah, they take like a bass instrument, the one that you use for music, and they just bury it underground, kind of like to end the music, which is also associated with fun times, and kind of symbol like, okay, we had our fun, time to do something more serious, like Lent.
Wow. Okay.
That's very unique, I know. I wasn't expecting it when I was reading it.
Okay, there's one more we brought for you here, which is the summer solstice celebration. Janska Noc, or also St. John's Night, if you wanted to translate it.
Yeah.
It's around the 21st to 24th of June. And it involves bonfires and also flower wreath, a lot of love, a lot of good mood over there.
Okay.
Yeah, young people jumping around the fire. So it's kind of sounds like a really cool tradition to me.
Yeah, and honestly, I can't wait to start my new journey there to Slovakia because it seems like a very different place to visit that I'm not that used to. But maybe there's something missing. I don't know what. I can't really figure. We talked about a lot of stuff, but there's something missing.
True. We haven't really talked. I mean, we talked about nature, food, traditions, castles.
Yeah.
But not really about the people, right?
The people, yeah. That's that. I think I know the right person to ask about it because I can talk about the culture from forums, but it's better to ask for someone that is from there.
Yeah.
So maybe it's about time to introduce our guest for today's episode, Miroslava. Can you hear us?
Hi. Yes, I can. Hi.
How's
How
it
are you?
going?
Good,
We're doing
good.
great.
I really enjoyed listening to you, and I knew that the Easter Monday would come up. So
Okay. I think you kind of see this sort of topic very often when you meet new people, huh?
yeah, right. We discussed a lot.
It would be interesting to hear a bit more about your opinion later on that. But first of all, we want to know a bit more about you, like who you are, what's your personal journey. Yeah, maybe you can introduce yourself a bit.
Yeah, of course. So, my name is Miroslava, but everybody actually calls me Mirka. In Slovakia, we like to use nicknames for some reason
Okay.
because some of the names are really long. So I guess that's the reason. And yeah, I'm 25-year-old. I come from a little town from the north of Slovakia called Orava. The region is called Orava. Yeah, my town is called Trstena. But I live in Bratislava now, and yeah, I work here. I studied here, so
There's a lot to
Yeah.
discover about the place because a lot of people are very interested in knowing about Bratislava as a place. But maybe you can tell us a little bit more about how was it growing up in such a remote region? And do you think that this place has kind of shaped the way that you are today?
Yeah, so I would say like growing up in my region was really idyllic. It was really green, it's a region that is really close to the Tatras mountains that you mentioned. So we had a lot of mountains, a lot of greenery, green places, and it's also a safe region. Like I remember my childhood was like riding the bikes with my friends or just playing in the street, and my parents didn't really care. So it was really nice to grow up there. Actually, I'm really thankful for where I am from. And also it was very traditional. You know, my region compared to maybe other regions of Slovakia really values uh, traditions, the folklore, and also family and community when I compare it to Bratislava. So yeah, it definitely shaped me in this way. Like I feel compared to people from other regions from Slovakia, I feel more maybe traditional.
I see. That's very different from what I grew up. Since I grew up in the capital of Rome, like the idea of being on the street and playing without any worries is the complete opposite. In Rome, is like stay away from roads. There's so many cars, so many dangers. So it's very nice to see someone that can be around. And this sort of tradition is something that is also not that present in Rome. Like there's of course traditions here and there, but it would be very lovely to know. So there must be a little bit of a switch when you went to someone as culturally different as Bratislava. So like what are, like you mentioned that there's a little bit more traditional, but do you know other differences that you have between the other two places from this region to Bratislava?
Yeah, so maybe I find the people from my region more um like we greet each other even though we don't know each other. Like you walk on the street and you don't really know that person, but even though you don't know them, you just greet them because that's politeness. We don't have problem starting a small talk with someone in the bus or whatever. So I remember when I first started studying in Bratislava, I really struggled with this. Like I felt like, ah, this is a cold place, you know. But I guess maybe that's also in other countries when you compare the countryside and the capitals or big cities. So yeah, and then another thing is of course the weather, because in my region it's way colder because it's in the mountains than in Bratislava. And also like in Bratislava I really miss the snow that I have back home. Like of course now with the climate change the things are changing and there's not that much snow, but when I was little we would have a meter of snow and we would just play with it. And yeah,
Meter.
I have good
Meter.
memories.
That's a lot. Maybe because I'm not that used to having snow. Do you have that snow in Germany?
Yeah, I mean, when I was smaller, sometimes we had snow as well. I don't know if it was ever a meter, but I wasn't living close to the mountains, so I understand well. But yeah, we had snow definitely.
Yeah, but
Yeah, and how is it actually if someone wanted to visit Bratislava for the first time? Like, what activities would you say are a must try?
So you mentioned the UFO, right?
Yeah.
Above the
Yeah.
bridge. But now I'm not sure if you mentioned that it's also a restaurant. Like you can actually go there by
Yeah.
an elevator, and yeah, you did. Okay.
We did
So
mention it, but I don't know how the food is. Like we don't know how the food is. Is it good? It looks like.
okay, I never been there actually. But
Okay.
people say it's expensive. Well, just like you would expect, right? But then there are other things that I think you did not mention, like in the old town, we have two cool squares that you could visit, like a main square and then Hviezdoslavo Square, which is I prefer the second one actually. They have the
Okay.
best ice cream in Bratislava there, so I recommend going there.
Really? Ice
Yeah.
cream. Okay. I never considered the ice cream there, so it would be very interesting to know what your interpretation of it.
Yeah. And it's also the square of Hviezdoslav, which is the a famous Slovak poet. He actually twisted Slovak words. He created his own language, kind of.
Kind of like a
And
Shakespeare.
yeah, kind of like they say it's a Slovak Shakespeare actually.
Ah.
So yeah, there's a big statue of that poet there. And yeah, then just try the food, I would say. Try the brinzové halušky, the dumplings.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a couple of suggestions for you, but I'm not sure if I'm allowed to to say them now.
I mean, sure. If you have like some specific ones, you can talk about them. I don't know if
Okay.
we like if you maybe can say the name a little bit slower for the people back home that are trying to learn the language. So
Yeah. Well, actually, they are English names, so
okay,
yeah. So
that's gonna
you
be a
could,
lot easier for them to
yeah.
recognize them.
Yeah.
So always when I have someone from abroad visiting, I uh, invite them for brinzové halušky in the Slovak pub, which is located in the main shopping street, or the flagship restaurant, which is like the best place to eat Slovak food in Bratislava. So I would say, yeah, try the food. And then yeah, you mentioned the Blue Church.
Mm-mm.
So that's that. It actually looks like from a Greek coast or something.
Yeah, yeah, it has a
Yeah.
very unique look for sure. But you know, that's kind of more like the part of the tourism. I'm very interested because you mentioned that you're now working in Bratislava, 'cause that's a part that a lot of people don't really get to explore. So, like, how would you describe the workplace culture in Slovakia? And like, are there like some unspoken rules that kind of you noticed while working there?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I would say in general, people in the workplace in Slovakia are a bit maybe more introverted. So they really need time to get to know you, you know, and the perfect thing for this is like getting to know each other over the lunch or over a coffee break. Like without that, I wouldn't expect much, but of course depends on the where you work, with who you work, and stuff like that. And then we also can talk about the generations. Like the older generation tends to be more formal, so uh, maybe you're not really friends with them. So there's a lot of distance between the boss and the employee. But yeah, the younger generation, of course, is changing. Like also just when we talk about it worldwide, like the younger generation prefers more flexibility at work, the good relationships and stuff like this. And also, I would say the Slovaks value deadlines. So maybe compared to other countries in Europe, that's a really important thing for us to plan everything and have the deadline in it. So yeah.
I feel like we can become friends here. The Germans do too.
That's not in Italy, and Italy is the opposite. I'm like, because in Italy you have to become friends even with your oldest coworker, even if they're like 50 years of distance. You will become friends with your boss. I guess,
Yeah.
I guess it's very different from Germany. I mean, you make friends in the workplace, you have work, you have deadlines, but you know, you can't have a work environment without language, you know? So I am very interested in learning more about Slovak as a language because, like, what do you think makes Slovak such a beautiful or maybe tricky language to learn or to speak?
Mhm. So I would say for foreigner, it must be a hell to learn my language. Actually, like from what I've heard or from what I think, because we have a really complex grammar rules, millions of exceptions. So, for example, we had just like German, we have cases. You know, I'm not sure. I've never learned German, like how many cases German has, but we have six cases.
Oh, okay. You're winning us here because we only have 4.
Oh, okay. So 2 cases more. Uh, we have only 3 tenses, but we have aspects. So it could be hard to, I don't know, learn all the forms of the verbs, you know.
Oh boy.
And also the forms of the verbs change depending on the person. So kind of like in Spanish. And then the most difficult thing I would say is the I and Y. You know, the letter I and Y. In Slovak, it's pronounced the same way, but you never know which one to use. And actually, there are a lot of exceptions. And then we have the chosen words that are the words where you use the Y word when you when you write it. So when we are little, when we are like 7 or 8 years old, we have to memorize the words where you use the Y, and they are not even all. So that's really difficult for foreigners to know, and for Slovak people as well, because you only learn that by reading actually. So yeah.
That sounds like a nightmare, honestly.
And one thing we had trouble here in this episode is the pronunciation as well. So I guess it's not easy either.
Yeah, we have a lot of sounds compared to other languages. So we have the W sounds, for example, and we always try to explain it to foreigners, and we tell them to say guľôčka v jamôčke, which means like a little ball in a little hole, and they never get it right. So
I'm not even gonna attempt at saying it. I'm gonna be honest. You scare me in one way, one phrase. I'm like, okay, no.
Let's not make ourselves more fool than we did already.
But maybe some people would be very up for the challenge of learning it. So, like you mentioned that there's like that you read books. Do you know some like nice resources or maybe some tips that could help people learn Slovak in a more efficient manner?
Yeah, so I've heard about a platform called Slovakia.eu that like shows you the grammar and all of the things, but maybe also find a Tandem.
Yeah, that would be a great way to kind of build that confidence. Once you get the little basics from the websites or like from online, even from YouTube tutorials, you can jump into Tandem and speak with someone native, and that's kind of like the best way to build that confidence that to kind of deal with this pretty difficult language, I have to say.
And also learn some tweaks maybe you don't learn from the textbooks or the websites.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's always better to speak.
Are there any Slovak expressions or sayings that really capture everyday life in Slovakia?
Actually, yes. We have a lot of sayings, and phraseologisms. I think we really like using them actually. We have one that I would say describes also the mentality of Slovak people, and it's všade dobré, doma najlepšie, and it means actually home sweet home.
Aww.
And I would say like that describes how we think, because like Slovak people really value some stability, to own your own property, for example, to get a house, to get a flat that is really yours, or just things like staying at home instead of eating out, instead of organizing some parties or some celebrations outside of your house. You just do it in your house, or the garden parties are at your house, or even going for a coffee. You just invite your friend to your house for a coffee. That's really, really popular actually, and really typical of Slovak people to do. So they just like to stay home, I would say.
Which is interesting because a little bit before the show, you told me something very interesting that I think it's about time that we kind of reveal the twist of because you fell in love with a different culture, a different, I'd say, lifestyle. Can you tell us more about your newfound love about a different country in Europe?
Yeah. So actually, I'm planning to move to Spain, and I've
Ooh.
always wanted to do this because I just love the relaxed culture, the lifestyle of going to a terrace and enjoy a drink with your friends or whatever, and spending time with people outside of your home. I think it's really nice, and I think also like Spanish people are in some way less stressed. Well, it's the typical things that people say about Spaniards, right? And I think they're actually true. So the sun and the good vibes.
Oh, sounds really good. So you already mentioned how it feels like emotionally different for you. Less stressed, more good vibes. Do you already know some more cultural differences?
So I would say the Spanish people are more lively. They're more cheerful. They smile more at you. Like I remember going on Erasmus to Cordoba, and even when I went to a shop, they were like, "Hola guapa," like, "Hi beautiful," and they just had this. I didn't feel tension. Like in Slovakia, sometimes I feel people are really stressed, and maybe some of them end up being even rude when you try to ask something because of the, I don't know, kind of the stress maybe. So that's why I really like how Spanish people are, and maybe I will just give it a shot. Of course, I will miss some things from my culture, like the food and the planning, But I think Spain sounds really good to me, and it always has. So
Interesting. And of course, like when you fell in love with a different culture and like a different overall country, you always want to learn the language that they speak. So, and it's very interesting because I would assume that Slovak and Spanish would be very different languages. So, maybe do you think that your your Slovak background shaped the way that you approach a new language, even if it's something that's different than Spanish?
Actually, I wouldn't say so. I think it didn't shape the way I learn or approach new language. I just think that I have a good grammar basics, to learn other languages because we have it all. So that could help me. Definitely.
Nice. That's actually a really good way to see it. I like that approach.
And did you have like a specific sort of like tips or like a specific method that you use to learn Spanish?
So, yeah, I had a friend from Mexico, actually. I had a tandem from Mexico. So we spoke in Spanish. And, but I just, surrounded myself with a lot of Spanish. Like, I followed all the Instagram accounts of Learn Spanish or just Spanish news, really. Or listened to a lot of Spanish songs. Like, when I was little, I really loved Shakira. So that was kind of why I ended up, like, in love with the Spanish language, actually. So, I don't know. I just grew up with it, following it. And so
Yeah, that's a very like effective method. Full isolation of languages has been proven to be like one of the best ways to learn languages really fast. I'm very bad at it. Whenever I try to learn languages, I always try to have some sort of way to kind of say, oh, I have some ways to get out of here. But if you get to it, it can be very, very powerful because it really forces you to learn the language, whether you like it or not. So
It absolutely does.
yeah. And but it's like with all of this Spanish, like languages, is there other like activities that you do on your free time? Like just to get a little bit more complete picture of yourself.
yeah, I would say I like creative hobbies. I like to express myself creatively. So I like playing the guitar, reading books. I really like books. I like to draw and paint. Yeah.
So there's a lot of activities, painting, drawing, music, like a lot of different creatives into one. And the reason why I was asking this is because I wanted to ask if your creativity kind of was influenced, would you say, or maybe it is, maybe it's not, but it's influenced by your like Slovak roots in any way?
Yeah, I believe not, actually. I think I'm just,
Okay. Oh.
I don't know. Yeah, I like to express myself creatively, and it happens to be one of my hobbies. Actually, like, I don't think art is that valued in Slovakia. I think it could be valued way more, actually. I remember when I went to primary school or high school, and we had these, cultural subject, something like culture subject or arts subject, something like that. We always just watched the movies, and we didn't really, learn about Slovak artists or architecture. It was considered like a less important subject at school, and I think that's not a good thing, actually.
Do you know any Slovak artists now that you would recommend people should know more about?
Yeah, actually, yes. Like, I really like the music of my parents' generation, actually. There are some good bands and some good singers. For example, Elan. It's a musical group, and they have, they talk about life in general and topics that stick with everyone. That talk about, I don't know, the relationships or just some random life topics that everyone can listen to, and the lyrics are really relevant.
And for people that are learning about these artists, what kind of genre do they do? Like
Oh my gosh, I have no idea. Maybe
That's okay. I'm not
something very, I don't know, something very neutral.
okay,
Maybe
maybe I know
pop,
at least.
maybe a little bit rock, I would say.
Yeah, if it is from previous generation, I would say probably it's easy listening for the people at home trying to search it on Spotify and stuff. I haven't listened to any of their songs, but if I had to guess, it would probably be easy listening, which I will of course correct myself in the final edited version of
Is that its own genre?
Yeah, I mean
I didn't know.
I mean technically easy listening is way older than a previous generation. We're probably like 70s, 60s. You have very it's like very simple songs that can be played anywhere. And in fact, I think with time it kind of stopped existing because with the, things like algorithms or like with the access of software to make music, it's a lot easier to make your own creative genre. But back in the day, you wanted like the most straightforward music, you would probably call it easy listening. Usually it's like someone with a piano or with a guitar and that's it, or a band with your classical acoustic elements. So I'm not sure if they have acoustics or they're electronic, but the way that you described it, it sounds like easy listening to me. But hey, maybe I'm wrong. Everybody has their own style afterwards. So after all.
Yeah, but we learned something new here.
Yeah, we do learn something new.
So we're coming closer to the end of the interview. We've got one more or two more questions actually. And one of them is like, do you feel like Slovak culture makes space for personal expression, or is it something you had to create for yourself?
Yeah, so I would say, just as I said, actually, not really. We could do better. The art at school is kind of ignored, so we could do better. It's something that I created for myself, I would say. I actually never incorporated some Slovak even topics or folklore in my art. So not sure. But well, if we talk about, for example, folklore dancing or folklore singing, there are definitely ways to get into it and to grow, because there are a lot of folklore festivals and people who dance folklore, people who sing folklore. For example, in my region, there are a lot of groups that will just let you in, and you can join them.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
But it seems that it's a lot like big group elements. Like it's about an entire regions or entire like villages partaking into this. Otherwise, it's not as accessible, which is interesting. A lot of it's something that I think a lot more countries should like try to promote self-expression. I'm a big fan of that. So. It's a shame that Slovakia doesn't do it as much about it. But we're coming into our last question of the program. And if there is one thing that more people should understand or should remember about Slovakia as a country, what would it be?
So I would say maybe the mentality, because Slovak people like to complain and underestimate the country in general. And I think you cannot take us seriously when talking about our country in a negative way, because we always complain about it, and like a lot of time we're just really negative about the country, but deep in the heart we actually love it, and we miss it when we are abroad. So please don't take us seriously when we underestimate everything here.
I definitely known people that even aren't from like Slovakia or other places that have that sort of negative outside, like it's kind of like I would say kind of like a nutshell, like that it's hard on the outside, negative on the outside, but once you get into the core, they love it. It's just, that's the way they express it. So I'll definitely take on that as a...
Yeah, and it's very useful actually to know for everybody who has never met a person from Slovakia. So thank you for telling us.
Yeah, and
you're welcome.
And I think with these words, we can kind of come into a close for our episode of the Connected by Language podcast. Thank you so much for joining us, by the way, Miroslava. I hope you had a wonderful time talking to us.
Thank you too. Yes, I really enjoyed it.
And and if you have some sort of like project or account or like a business that you're doing, this is the best time to talk about it. So, because we're going to share it for people in the description of this episode.
I don't.
Okay. You don't have to. That's fine. But yeah, thank you so much, everybody that has been listening, for watching this episode of the Connected by Language podcast. I've been your host, Michele, and my co-host,
Michelle.
And if you like the content that you've seen, please like and subscribe to see more episodes. And if you're on Spotify or Apple, you can give us a follow as well. And if you have a nice little, let's just say, adventure in Slovakia or other countries that you want to share with us, you can also put a comment in the description. So if you're interested in more content, we have a lot of backlog of episodes by now, so we can explore all countries from all different facts of the world. So you definitely find a very nice next destination for your trip. But in the meantime, I've been Michele, and Michelle, and we will see you on the next episode of the Connected by Language podcast. See ya.
Bye.